cling to it, then you have that perception that I enjoy, I exist. So that's why the being comes into. Then monks, it occurred to me, when what exists, does clinging come to be? By what is clinging conditioned? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is craving, clinging comes to be. Clinging has craving as its condition. Then monks, it occurred to me, when what exists, does craving come to be? By what is craving conditioned? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is feeling, craving comes to be. Craving has feeling for its condition. Stop here for a moment. So here, when there is pleasant feeling, because feeling, there is pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling. So when you experience pleasure, when you have a pleasurable feeling, and then you crave, the craving arises. Just like a small kid never tasted ice cream, you give him ice cream, when he tastes it, the pleasurable feeling makes him crave for it. Then monks, it occurred to me, when what exists, does feeling come to be? By what is feeling conditioned? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is contact, feeling comes to be. Feeling has contact as its condition. Then monks, it occurred to me, when what exists, does contact come to be? By what is contact conditioned? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there are the six sense bases, contact comes to be. Contact has the six sense bases as its condition. Then monks, it occurred to me, when what exists, do the six sense bases come to be? By what are the six sense bases conditioned? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is mentality, materiality, the six sense bases come to be. The six sense bases have mentality, materiality as their condition. Then monks, it occurred to me, when what exists, does mentality and materiality come to be? By what is mentality and materiality conditioned? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is consciousness, mentality and materiality comes to be. Mentality and materiality has consciousness as its condition. Stop here for a moment. These two, Dhammarupa and Vijnana, mentality, materiality, and consciousness, you must always consider them as a pair, because they arise together and cease together. So these, because they are twins, so you have to see that when consciousness and mentality, materiality exists, that means there is consciousness, then that being comes into exists, then the being must have the six senses. It's through the six senses that he perceives the world. So from there, when we have the six senses, then contact at the six senses occurs, which gives rise to feeling, etc. Then monks, it occurred to me, when what exists, does consciousness come to be? By what is consciousness conditioned? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is volition, consciousness comes to be. Consciousness has volition as its condition. Then monks, it occurred to me, when what exists, does volition come to be? By what is volition conditioned? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is ignorance, volition comes to be. Volition has ignorance as its condition. Thus, with ignorance as condition, volition comes to be. With volition as condition, consciousness, etc., etc. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. Now, origination. Thus, monks, in regard to things unheard before, there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, true knowledge and light. Stop here for a moment. So here, the Buddha's experience was that when he was considering this dependent origination, He considered and he understood, and the mind became bright because he basically his mind is already bright, but when he applied his clear mind to contemplating dependent origination, then light arose, just like on the night of enlightenment, when the Buddha was practicing hard to become enlightened. Then when he attained enlightenment, the Buddha said, light arose, knowledge arose. So same here. So the rest of the sutta is the reverse. Then monks, it occurred to me, when what does not exist, does aging and death not come to be? With the cessation of what does the cessation of aging and death, that means suffering, come about? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is no birth, aging and death, that means suffering, does not come to be. With the cessation of birth comes cessation of aging and death. Then monks, it occurred to me, when what does not exist, does birth not come to be? By the cessation of what does the cessation of birth come about? Then monks, through careful attention, etc., then he realized, when there is no being, birth does not come to be. With the cessation of being comes cessation of birth, etc., etc. So I won't repeat the rest. The links, the 12 links are quite the same. So here you see, sometimes, like in this case, the Buddha comes to understanding just through logic, just thinking clearly. Why is there suffering? When you contemplate the reason for suffering, then you realize it's because this world is a world of suffering. So it's because we are born into this world that we suffer. If we are not born into this world, then we don't suffer. Then why are we born into this world? Because we have that feeling, I exist, I am. Once you have that I, then you see yourself in the world. Then why is there bhava, that being? Because of clinging. We cling. That's why at the moment of death, we refuse to die. We still cling to life. So that strength, that willpower brings us into the next birth. Okay, since these suttas are quite tough going, I won't go fast. I'll stop here for the moment. And we can discuss. This type of suttas are not easy to understand, but if you take the trouble to understand, the Buddha says, he who sees dependent origination sees the Dhamma. So when you see the Dhamma, the Buddha says, you have attained the Dhamma Chakku, vision of the Dhamma, that makes you a stream enterer. That's why it's important to go to these suttas and try to digest it, try to understand. It'll be easier to understand if you have a clear mind, and that clear mind comes from meditation. Any question?
You mentioned that the
Mentality and materiality. Now, there's name and form.
They come with the consciousness. What is that? They are put at different this condition, this.
Actually, it's not necessary that these conditions, that it can be the other way also.
Then why the book is put in this?
It's just convenience, because in some other sutta it's explained that they come together. Just like some suttas, they explain because of ignorance, you have asava. Asava is mental, uncontrolled mental outflows. And then some suttas, they have the reverse. Because of asava, you have ignorance. So you must see more suttas to understand. Cannot be what we call si pan. Oh yeah. I mentioned the two arise together and cease together. They come in a pair. You cannot separate them. Because when you have consciousness, you must have an object of consciousness. As far as these six consciousness are concerned, they must always have an object. It's only in the state of parinibbana that the Buddha says that ultimate state is that a type of consciousness without object. Yeah, sometimes some people have karmic obstacle. Time is not right. No?
So that means, condition is the so-called source. It's a source, that means it's a source of obstacles and things that we can meditate on.
No, I don't understand.
Let's say you've got a good meditation, then when you read it, like some of the Westerners, they can understand more than us because the words, everything they have meaning. But then their action, their behavior doesn't show that they understand this.
That means they are not spiritually mature enough. When a person is spiritually mature, then your mind is such that you are ready to let go. There are some people, they come into the Dhamma, they still got a lot of clinging, so they cannot let go a lot of their bad habits, their bad character and all that. So
But that means it's best way that because we are so habitual. So when you understand this, and when the things come up, you have to always look into your mind. Remind yourself that is this a way of...
Yeah, must always see our mind and admit our faults. There are some people who always refuse to see their faults, Inside, even you try to tell them, they get angry. Yeah. Then you have to change. If you see your fault, you have to change.
Because of our habitual, it just takes time.
Yeah.
So the pressure,
yes, that's why the Buddha says the spiritual path is a very gradual path. Just like the ocean slopes and becomes deeper very gradually. Does not become deep suddenly. So in the same way, the spiritual path, we progress step by step. It takes many years to progress.
During meditation, we close our eyes. I mean, the six contacts, the five are very easy to take care. It's the mind that is how can these... I mean, the thoughts and all these things, it just rises without any contact.
Because of worries, because of obligations and all that. That's why the Buddha encouraged people who want to practice the spiritual path to renounce the home life. If you have a business to worry about, a family to worry about, you don't have to do anything. Just pop up, keep popping up.
I mean, we check out all the others, the mind that can stop.
Yeah.
The third means is asawa says.
Yeah. From habit. Habit is one thing. The other thing is because you always have all these worries. In fact, like doing business is very bad for the mental cultivation for the spiritual path. People maybe who makan gaji, they work for somebody else, they don't have so much worries. If you are the boss, you have so much worries. How to let go? How to stop worrying?
I mean, I think somebody told me that the